Okay, the truth about becoming completely debt-free. All right, I'm just starting this one out. I'll stop here just to show you my t-shirt that I had made, Washington, D.C., and this was for July 4th of this year. If you've been watching my videos, I made a goal to actually be debt-free on May 20th on my birthday of this year in 2025. I didn't quite make it, but I did make it in July. I wrote down July 4th, 2025 to be completely debt-free, and I actually achieved that. And one of the things that I wanted to do once I achieved that was to actually go visit my mother in Virginia. I just did that here recently, and we also took a trip and a tour to Washington, D.C. And so we're going to talk about today the truth about becoming completely debt-free. Now, before I get into this, I would like to ask you, if you find the content valuable, to go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload a video. Now, what we're going to talk today about is the truth about becoming completely debt-free. And there's one thing that can be kind of a difficult thing that happens when you become totally debt-free and reach a goal. And you just want to be cautious about this. And stick through the end of the video, because I'm going to give you 3 ways to kind of avoid and get beyond this thing that can hinder you after you reach a big goal like becoming debt-free. Now, like I was telling you, I became debt-free on July 4th, and we took that trip to Virginia, and my wife and my sister and I actually went to Washington, D.C. and took a tour. So before we get into the video, I'm going to show you a short video clip of when we actually went to the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and actually went into that round room, the rotunda. It was so fabulous, and I'm going to just show you a few pictures of when we were on that tour. So go ahead and enjoy the clip and the pictures right now. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed that clip and the few pictures that I had there. And I even added a little bit of music. I'm kind of learning how to edit videos now. But what we're talking about today is what the truth is about becoming completely debt-free, and that one cautionary thing that I was telling you about. And that cautionary thing, or the thing that you need to be careful about, is what they call the arrival fallacy. Now, I was reading an article in Psychology Today. I look at Psychology Today because I think that they do a good job of kind of taking psychological concepts and making them very, very simple for the average person. And there's this arrival fallacy. And what the arrival fallacy is all about is when you actually achieve a goal, like debt freedom. For me, from the inception of me starting to learn about personal finance and becoming debt free was a 25-year journey for me personally. I don't know what it's going to be for you. I hope it's a lot shorter. But for me, it was 25 years from learning the concepts, the first concepts to become debt free and actually becoming debt free. And that's a long process. And so in that process, it's easy to think that once you get there, once you're completely debt-free, that everything is going to be great, that the sky is going to kind of part, the sun's going to come through, and you're just going to have joy and happiness from then on. And what unfortunately happens sometimes is that people have a goal like that, like becoming completely debt-free, you achieve it, and then you find out, why do I not feel more joy? Why do I not feel content? Why hasn't this kind of solved all of my problems in life? And it can even go further to where people actually become depressed afterwards. They feel down because there's an emptiness, because that arrival that they had is a fallacy. It's not a reality that it just opened up all of their happiness and joy and solved all of their problems. You don't want to end up in that spot. You want to get the full joy and value and everything out of achieving that goal. For me personally, achieving debt freedom has been absolutely glorious. I can't tell you what it feels like not to have a payment, no house payment, no car payment, no payments of any kind. I don't owe anything on credit cards, and it's incredible. But I think that I feel this way because I learned these three things, these three concepts from words that start with the letter E. Now, all these words start with the letter E, but it helps you to kind of frame concepts that will help you not get to the end of your goal, like debt freedom, and just feel like it's all a fallacy. What was this all for? I just kind of feel empty. You won't be in that space. So let's start with these three. The first one of the letter E is you want to embrace. Embrace. And what I mean by that is embrace the journey. As I look over my debt-free journey, there were times that I felt like an elation. There were times that I felt like, wow, I was excited at the very beginning of the journey. I remember when I first read The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And Dave Ramsey has 7 baby steps in there. And even to this day, I don't follow all of the baby steps, but reading that book gave me a map, a step-by-step. And I remember saving the first emergency fund, that baby starter emergency fund, and how I felt. I felt like an elation almost because I was getting traction. And then going on to get the company match at the work where I was working. And doing those steps in the very, very beginning had me at a level of excitement, joy, purpose, all of those things. And that was way back in the beginning of my journey. So I'm saying that to say, embrace the journey. You will find that even after you have arrived, like we're talking about debt freedom, once you've arrived, if you look back at some of the steps that you went through while you were on the journey, you will find that some of those steps, even some of the beginning steps, may give you a higher level of joy, accomplishment, thankfulness, gratitude, than actually achieving the end goal. So what I'm saying here is to embrace the journey. Be excited about the journey, even on day one. Now that's embracing. Now the other E, number 2, is extrapolation. Extrapolate into the future. What's neat is that if you achieve a big goal and you've done the disciplines, you've been diligent and you've achieved that goal, you've had the patience and the persistence and all of those things, you infuse that character into you. That is building blocks for the next phase. So extrapolate. I'm thinking in my mind now, there's that phrase, and I want to get this right. There's that phrase. In life is not a destination, it's a journey, okay? So, like I said in the beginning, embrace the journey, but extrapolate to the next chapter, okay? Let me use a book analogy, okay? When you're reading a book, it has chapters. Yes, it has a beginning and an end, but in life, as long as you're still breathing, there's another page to turn. There's a new chapter. And so, extrapolate into that new chapter. I actually suggest doing that before you reach that chapter. Let's put it specifically to achieving debt freedom. And I'll use a specific example of mine. Because I knew about the concept of the arrival fallacy, I knew that when I arrived, I needed to have something beyond that arrival in order to infuse joy, excitement, contentment, and so on. And so what I did was a little over a year ago, April of 2024, I started recording these videos for you. Because that's exciting for me. It's exciting for me to reach down and grab the hand of someone else and to bring them up to where I am. And that's what I hope to do for you. I hope that you grab some of these concepts, gain control of your finances, get to the point of debt freedom, and also to building wealth, okay? So I started these videos as the next chapter, so to speak, after I achieved total debt freedom. It gave me another project, something to be excited and to build on. And besides that, after debt freedom, I want to get to a point to where my assets pay for my lifestyle. So that's also another chapter that I started. And I started that chapter before completing the chapter of debt freedom. And you don't have to make it complicated, just small steps to do things. Like I said, I started just recording myself in April of 2024. Now I'm a little bit better at doing these videos. And so I started that project knowing that it would be the next chapter of some of what I would be doing in terms of the whole project of becoming debt-free and building wealth in my own life. And I suggest that you do that in your life with whatever you're doing. Like, let's say that you're in school. Like I knew, I went to graduate school, so I knew a lot of other graduate students. And sometimes graduate students will write a PhD, they'll get their PhD and write a dissertation, and that is a tough, long project. So after that project, they may go through a little bit of feeling down and that, because they have that arrival fallacy, that once they finish that dissertation, that everything is going to be glorious, and they find that it's not. So again, extrapolate into the future. Start your next chapter or do a few little things to prepare yourself and get ready for the next chapter while you're on the present chapter, okay? And that will help you to transition and still have momentum and joy and excitement as you go through your life and you don't hit that feeling of having that arrival fallacy, okay? So that's number 2, extrapolate into the future. Now let's hit number 3. And number 3 is very, very important, actually, with the other 2 steps, and that's execution. You want to execute. You don't want to just have ideas and just have things even written on paper, even though that's important. Writing goals down on paper and actually having a plan. Execution is maybe even more important than that. Taking the daily steps, okay? You want to do that one. Actually go in and actually do something, step 1. and step 2, and so on a daily basis, so that you're taking action on a regular basis, executing what needs to be done. This is how you avoid having that arrival fallacy take you, and you actually have joy, and you actually have purpose and direction. Okay? So again, you want to extrapolate, you want to execute, and you also want to embrace. That's the one that I was looking for. So embrace first, extrapolate into the future. Start your chapter 2 while you're already on chapter 1. Take small steps for chapter 2 of your life, and then execute on a regular basis. I am so excited that I've reached the milestone of being completely debt-free. And I want the same thing for you. You can do this. You can take yourself into the next chapter of your life and have control of your finances, reach debt freedom, and finally build wealth so that your assets can take care of your lifestyle. I hope this one has been helpful to you. And I hope that's been fun for you to see a little bit of how I celebrated to actually celebrate me achieving complete debt freedom. And think about these things so that you don't arrive at whatever you're doing, whatever goal you're setting, particularly if it's hard for you to actually take the steps and get there. You don't want to arrive and not feel that joy, that satisfaction, that feeling of contentment and being thankful. So do those 3 things, and you will find that you feel great once you achieve your goals. Again, if you found the content valuable, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for being here with me again, and I wish you the best on your financial journey. Take care.